here's a rundown of what my plant-based family ate Tuesday, starting with smoothies. Okay, my morning smoothies always start out with old-fashioned rolled oats and several handfuls of frozen bananas. I keep frozen bananas on hand all the time. People ask me, how long do frozen bananas keep in the freezer? I have no idea, because we eat them every day, all the time. Either we're eating them in smoothies or we're having them for ice cream. Okay, and then on top of that, I threw some strawberries and then a couple of tablespoons of raw flax seeds, just to mix it up a little. I don't always add flax seeds to my smoothies, but I felt like it this morning. And then while I was getting weird, I thought I'd throw in some spinach, and then covered that with probably about 2 cups of milk. I just try to go halfway up the pitcher, and then I know I've got enough milk in there. And then I blended that on high and got that nice and smooth. I don't want Maggie to see the bits of spinach, or she'll be like, ooh. Now the trick to getting your kids to have a smoothie with greens in it is to make sure those bananas are ripe when you put them in the freezer. The sweeter those bananas are going into the freezer, the better they'll mask any, savory ingredients you want to put in that fruit smoothie. All right, there you go. Look at there, nice and frozen. It's really like having ice cream or a milkshake for breakfast. Who's gonna, fight that? So good. There you go, there's breakfast. Come and get it. All right, now for lunch wraps. Okay, this recipe will be posted back on my website, simpledailyrecipes.com. Just do a recipe search for Southwest bean salad. It will be there. I got this recipe from the Plant Pure Nation cookbook, and it is delicious. Now, it's not the exact recipe from the cookbook. I didn't have everything that the recipe called for, so I had to make some adjustments, but this is pretty darn close. It was good. So it's a bell pepper, about a half a cup of yellow onion, a can of black beans, a can of pinto beans, a cup of frozen corn thawed, which I just threw the frozen corn on top of the canned beans and just washed them with hot water, and that kind of warmed up the frozen corn and got the beans clean at the same time. And then you add a 4th cup of red wine vinegar, a 4th cup of lime juice. I think the original recipe called for fresh lime juice, but I never have that on hand. I always have the lime juice in the bottle. And then I had maple syrup on hand, 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, but any sweetener like agave nectar or whatever you like to use. Anything to balance out all that vinegar. And then a ½ teaspoon of salt. And now for the spicy part, I got ½ teaspoon of cumin. ½ teaspoon of, I use New Mexico chili powder. That's my favorite. You can get it a little spicier if you want. And then the recipe, Plant Pure Nation recipe called for sriracha sauce, but that's too hot for me. So I like Cholula. So I end up putting about 1.5 teaspoons of Cholula sauce in my salad. And then the recipe called for fresh parsley. I didn't have any of that either. So I just used, not parsley, it called for fresh cilantro, and I didn't have any cilantro, so but I had dried cilantro, so I used 1.5 teaspoons. 2 teaspoons? How many did I use? How many was? Oh, well, I have it in the recipe. So just go over to my blog and you'll see. Oh, and it's good. It is so good. And you could definitely make this spicier if you wanted to, but it was a nice balance. It wasn't too spicy for Max, and Charlie loved it. It was good. So I ended up warming up some tortillas, and I had some chopped green lettuce, and I just turned that salad into some wraps. Oh, it was a good lunch. Okay, and now dinner. We had leftovers night. These were the leftovers in my refrigerator that had to be eaten that night. I had some leftover pasta that Maggie was wanting just pasta and noodles the other day, so I had that. And I put that to the side, and here's that leftover vegan cheese sauce that I made from potatoes and carrots. Have you seen that video yet? This is such a good sauce, and look how thick. I mean, it's just been in the refrigerator like maybe a day, and it is so thick. I decided, well, I'm gonna have to add some milk to this to get it thin enough, and I wanna make it into a cheese sauce, like something I can pour back over that pasta and give Maggie kind of a mac and cheese night. So after I pour, I just kind of had to eyeball the milk, okay? And then I put that in the microwave. And then this is just kind of a noodle stir fry thing that I came up with. Max said, you know, I had some of these ramen-like noodles in the pantry. And Max says, why don't you just cook up those noodles and stir fry some carrots and peas and together, maybe some tofu, and we'll just have a stir fry. And I thought, yeah, that's a good idea. So I did that, and it turned out really well. Well, the leftovers were really sticky. So I said, well, okay, let me just get some, I had some Better Than Bouillon, no chicken base. And I just made up a cup of that broth, and I poured that over the noodles just so it would kind of break the noodles up and get it loose. And I put that in the microwave queue. And then my cheese sauce was ready, so I just whisked that up, and look at it. It makes such a beautiful, silky smooth cheese sauce. Oh, I had more cheese sauce than I needed for that pasta. So I poured some back, and I thought, well, we'll do something else with it. So, so here you go. I'm gonna make a little quick macaroni and cheese for Maggie. That was easy, done. And of course the noodles were still cold, so I popped that back in the microwave and warmed that up for her. She's done. Okay, and then I had fruit that needed to be eaten. I had it in the refrigerator. Check this out. This is my little fruit peeler. Do you have one of these? It's got the serrated teeth on it, and it's for fruits that have a thin skin, like peaches and plums and nectarines and whatever else you like to peel. So I love that thing. So I had these peaches that needed to be eaten, and I chopped those all up. They weren't very sweet, but you know, they'll work. The peaches right now are just coming into the grocery store, and I don't know where they're getting them, but they are not the peaches that I'm used to, but they'll do. They're good. And then I had a couple apples that needed to be eaten. And I got those chopped up. And you know, when it comes to fruit salad, I have just realized that it doesn't matter what combinations of fruits you put together. Fruit's good. It's good no matter how, what combo you make. So just throw it in the bowl and toss it together, and look, people will eat it. They don't care. Did you notice how when I turned my back, all the hands went in there? Yeah, they were just snatching them in there. And then I had a few cherries from the first time I purchased a bag of cherries that needed to be eaten. So I got those thrown in there. And of course, here's the, do you see, that's the Southwest bean salad that I made at lunch. And I thought, well, we'll just use this as a dip now. You know, we ate it as wrap filling for lunch, but let's just make it a dip. So there's Charlie, you know, going in with his chips. Now on this fruit salad, I am pouring some juiced apples that I had in the refrigerator. Well, actually that's apples and lemons that I juiced together to make kind of an apple-y lemonade. It's okay. It's pretty good. I mean, it tastes great when you're hot. So I poured that over the fruit to kind of keep the apples from turning. It had enough lemon in it. It kept the fruit bright. All right, there you go. It's dinner time. Check it out. The kids, I had called for dinner, and the kids are digging in. Max and his separations. He has to keep everything separated. Maggie, she loves her fruit and pasta. My little carb girl. And then here, see, I decided to get jiggy with it. I got some of the Tostito chips, and I filled my little scoops with that bean salad, and then I drizzled that cheese sauce over the top. I had little nachos going on. And then I got my little noodle stir fry, my fruit salad there, and divided it up with my carrot sticks. It looks weird, but it was good. It was a weird combo. There's Charlie's plate. There you go. So that's how it rolls at my house.